Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the rides that Disney World and Disneyland have in common and which ones that I like best between the two parks. Okay, so I'm going to start with Haunted Mansion. Now these two rides actually do have some differences. They're not huge differences, but I do think that I think they're quite a bit different, but for someone who, I don't know, hasn't been in quite a while, they might not really remember the differences. Disneyland's Haunted Mansion actually is the only Haunted Mansion that you do actually take an elevator down and you go underneath the ground to the show building. So that's pretty neat. But the Disney World version is bigger and the ride is actually longer, which I like. I like the scene where you see all the footsteps on the stairs and all that. So that's why it's my favorite out of the two. Now, I haven't been to any international parks, so that could be different, but out of the two US parks, Disney World wins that one. Now, the second one I'm going to talk about is Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, forgetting what's happening with them now, the real difference is Disneyland's version is actually a lot longer. It's got 2 drops, it's got a bunch of different like cave scenes, and it's just a better ride than Disney World's, honestly. I mean, Disney World's is just like a really short, condensed version of Disneyland's. So, Disneyland, you got it. You got it. And then let's see, my next one. My next one is It's a Small World, which I know some people just don't like this ride anyway because the like little dolls and the song, but this ride's a classic, and who doesn't like the classics? Now, Disney World at the end with the magic bands that you get, it'll say like hello, your name, or bonjour, or adios, and then it'll have the guest names, so that's pretty neat. But over at Disneyland's, they do the holiday overlay, and then they also do the characters in their respective countries. So they'll have like Alice in England, they have Lilo and Stitch in like the Polynesian Hawaii, they have Jessie and Woody in America, I think they have Cinderella. So I really like that, and I think that's what tips the scales towards Disneyland for that one. Now, I can only ride that ride once every time we go because that song, but again, it's a classic attraction, and I think you have to ride it once every time you go. So then the next one is the Jungle Cruise, which honestly I think is a carbon copy, especially now that both parks on both sides has the Jingle Cruise. I haven't rode the Jingle Cruise yet, but we're going in December to Disney World, so hopefully I'll get a chance to ride it. But the trips are the same, and they take pretty much the same route. So I think this one's a tie between the two parks. So now the last one that I'm going to talk about is It's a Small World. It's Splash Mountain. The Disneyland version of Splash Mountain has characters that are recycled from another ride. And I mean, that's cool to cut costs and stuff like that, but yeah. Then the Disney World version has characters made specifically for that ride. Now, it's not something that you would, I guess, notice if that's the only when you rode, like if you've only rode the Disneyland version, I don't think you'd know this, but if you've rode the Disney World version, I mean, that final scene I think just is more cohesive and it looks better. So I think it goes to that one. Now here's a bonus one for you. Peter Pan's Flight. Honestly, I think they're pretty much the same. I'm not a big fan of Peter Pan's Flight. I think the ride wait time for that ride is ridiculous for the kind of ride it is. Now the only reason I think Disneyland wins is because it's one of the rides that like was an original ride, and that's the only reason I would ride it. I've rode it once at both parks and I'm done. I probably wouldn't ride it again. Now, if you've been to both parks, let me know which park you prefer, or which version of which ride you prefer in which park, if that made sense. And then if you agree with me, let me know, or give this video a thumbs up. Thanks!